and ask the question.
Alright, so when I was 7 years old, that was the first time you said something to me about sex. It was very traumatizing because you were talking about a whole lot of things that I wasn't even thinking about doing, but eventually got around to. So, when is it
Look,
too
I'm
young?
just one of them people. Mama is one of them people who believe in telling their kids about life. I believe in telling my kids about sex because you got a lot of predators out there. I had a lot of predators around me when I was a little girl. I didn't know. And I found out that they were predators. They weren't my friends. And I didn't want my kids or anything like that to happen to them or to be traumatized by anything like that. Because you know what? Some of them people that you think is your friends, they not your damn friends. They fucking with your kids. The kids don't know they being messed with because you don't never say nothing to them about life. You too busy calling yourself trying to deal with life. But that's all a part of life. Why should you be ashamed of telling them, if anybody touch you down there or whatever you want to call it, people have different names they might call it, or they put their hands in your panties or touch your breasts or pinch you on your little tits or whatever like that. You let me know because that's not nice. That's not being nice to you. And I don't like stuff like that. No matter how good it may feel to you, it's not something that's for you. Not at this stage in your life. And you don't let nobody touch you there. You don't let nobody, I don't care who it is, you don't let nobody put their hands in your clothes. And you let them know. But when you don't tell kids anything, they don't know what to expect. They don't understand. They think it's all right. I knew when it seemed like a lot of things, I knew a lot of things that I learned. I learned from people in the street, kids talking, your girlfriends, this one, listening to what other people say. And half the time I was wrong in what I was being told. The birds and the bees. They know, come on now. Oh, damn bird and the bee. Tell me the truth about something. How you get pregnant.
Well,
something too long.
To be fair, when you was growing up, it was like real taboo to talk about sex.
Oh, that was the worst thing they'll beat you with a stick, you asked about that. But that's all a part of life. You can't get around. How you think you got here? You ain't get here through no damn magic. You got here either by doing something you weren't supposed to do or doing something you didn't understand that you were doing. But if the more you understand it, the more responsible you become about it. That's the problem. And people will put, see, if you tell my child about sex, then my child is going to go out there and do sex. No. If you inform my child about sex and what could happen if they do sex, they can make a choice. They can make a decision. They can say, well, I'll go to this clinic and get something instead of taking a chance and having sex with this fool unprotected, myself unprotected, and him unprotected, and taking a chance. Well, maybe I better go ahead and use something. I started my oldest daughter out. Her and a few of her friends, we took her to the public clinic and let them know that they could go here. They had the clinics that more or less at that time where the young ladies could go, and you had your first pelvic exam, and they talked to you about using birth control, the different types of birth control. You went to classes for it, and you understood that it was confidential. If you didn't want your parents to know, they wouldn't have to know. I would rather know that she had sense enough to go to one of those places and use something, even if I didn't know about it. But at least she was using something. She wasn't taking a chance. You know, to know that there's birth controls that you can use but don't know how to go there or where to go, that's pitiful. You know, it really is. It's wrong, you know, for you not to think, well, if I tell her about it, then she might go there and use something. Yeah, I'd rather her use something than go out there and come home with a set of triplets. You know, who the hell needs that?
Well, let me ask you this. Now, in this day and age, you got more teenagers that are having these babies at an early age, although it's all this education out there, way more than it ever was some years ago. So would you say that education is not enough, that it basically has to come from the parents?
It's not the point of education. It's not that they're not being educated. They ain't paying attention.
What about the moral side of it? Shouldn't that come from their parents?
Sure, it should. But if you don't have parents that are really behind you, who really check up with you, go to checkups with you, who's really interested. When you start out, it's really how you start that out in the beginning, teaching them about life, teaching them about sex, that it's one of the most beautiful things in the whole wide world done the right way. You know, but a lot of times we don't do it the right way. To let them know when they first go out there and they have their first sexual encounter, they're not going to enjoy it. You know, you might start off bleeding, you rupture your hymen or whatever it is, and it irritates you. And when what the fuck was this all about? I couldn't understand what it was all about when after I got up from there. All this screaming and howling over this. My pussy was all sore and I was bleeding and shit. And hey. And they talking about it's wonderful. Where's it wonderful at? Oh, you got to keep doing it over and over again. Say what? I got to keep doing this shit over and over again. You going to keep hurting me like that and carrying on like that? Oh, well, see, no, it's not like that each time. It ain't. Well, I don't know if you're going to get me to come back that way. I doubt that. You know? Oh, it took me a little while before I went back. Other way, I'll try it. You know, but then again, you have other things. Somebody pinching and pulling on your titties and your pussy and sticking you and poking you and carrying on, you know. So you finally give in. And maybe it's not as bad as it was the first time. But I'm telling you, I couldn't figure out, I really couldn't. I went home and I sat my ass in a tub of hot water. And I was so damn mad. I said to myself, all this shit, all this carrying on over some stupid ass sex. And if it hurt like that all the time, what the hell you going to get into? What you going to do it for? I ain't know somebody abusing me. I had enough of that shit when I was a baby. I said to myself, I don't believe this.
I assume it got better.
I assume it did. Because your ugly ass wouldn't have got here.
I look like you. What you talking about?